Hi, Ali. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Very, very good, very good. So you're quite famous on magazine covers and the internet sensation currently.
Am I?
You had the cover of last month's
Oh, yes, yes, yeah,
yes. That's with
yes.
your watercolors.
That's that's my painting, and inside it's got my article. But this is the first time that this magazine has got together, so it's a bit special. So I felt very proud of that.
Very nice, very nice, very nice. Tell me about your art and what you're doing.
Um, yeah, so I've been doing art since I was a really little girl. Always had a passion for it. Um, and I became a teacher when I went to uni, went became a teacher at primary school. Then my deafness got really bad, which probably everybody's aware of. Having to say sorry, pardon. Um, and so I gave that up to teach to start my own business, Alisart.
Yes.
And I started in a kitchen in Wilmslow, which is a small village of 6 people. And now I have 6 classes a week with 18 in all of the classes, waiting lists, workshops once a month. I do video lessons through COVID. That sort of shocked me into that. Worked for the SAA as a partner, so I've done a lot of videoing with them. Did Ready Steady Paint. I was a tutor for them, and that was very special because that was the connection with children and myself, and I love teaching children, so that was brilliant. Unfortunately, it's not there anymore, but I really loved that time. Um, and then, yes, done an article for the Leisure Painter Artist magazine was really special. I met the editor of the Artist magazine at Patching's Art Festival, and that's how it came about. So yeah, very exciting.
Very, very nice, very nice. What mediums are you specializing in?
I would say I do watercolors, I do acrylics. My favorite is mixing up the media, so I like putting everything together, which is really good fun.
And I eventually sent you some canvases to play around on. What did you do on the canvases?
Well, I'd never used your canvases before and I didn't know that much about them. I just knew from the blurb that they were a bit different and that they didn't sag and all those sort of things. So I remember speaking to you about getting some and you suggested two in a packet. And then you sent very kind of sent the watercolor one as well, which I was very excited about because there aren't many canvases out there, I would say, for watercolor that I know about. I
Yeah.
had actually used some watercolor ground on top of a canvas when somebody commissioned me to do a painting using watercolor but wanted it on a canvas. So I thought, well, that's the way to do it. But obviously, it's quite a fuss doing that. You've got to cover it with the ground several times. I didn't feel it worked like watercolor paper, so I found it a little bit tricky. Whereas your canvas for the watercolor, it works with watercolor. I found it really interesting. I still need to play more because I've only had one, but I'm excited about it. I think you need to layer the color up, is what I'm feeling with your watercolor canvas. And I also had the acrylic one, and the acrylics one was amazing. I just, when I put the color on, it just went on so smoothly and so easily. Um, and I really loved the feel of it. You know, there was no resistance, which I often get on a canvas. Um, I do make resistant because I often put collage and bits and modeling paste and all sorts on my canvas. So I often get resistance anyway. But no, it was a dream to paint with the acrylic paint.
Okay. Was that on the thin stretch or the deeper box canvas?
The deeper box canvas I've got, but I've also got the thin one to work on. I haven't worked on that one yet because I've only had them for a couple of weeks and been on a holiday as well. So I will be trying that out. But I personally really like the deep box. I think it feels more modern somehow to me.
Yes.
So for me, I really like that.
You painted the acrylic straight onto the canvas?
Yes, I did. Yeah. it looks good. But I've noticed you do canvases with a frame around them as well, and I think that's very modern look, and I really like the look of that.
No, yeah, yeah. We do them for the thin 20 mil stretch and the deeper edge as well. For
Yeah, yeah.
so the canvas for the acrylics. The this is this the first time that you've painted on a polyester canvas?
Yes.
And on the watercolor canvas, did you do different techniques?
Um, I did similar techniques to my usual watercolor techniques, but I have noticed it seems to work more with layering the color, which you would use more of a cotton paper for. Right, so I've learned that it's slightly different to using on watercolor paper, but I like it. I think it works well. You can get a lot of depth that way. I like the fact that the colors are bright, because I like bright color, and that's important to me. Um, and you suggested that I did my primroses again, just because it was a painting that I'd already done, so that I could see the difference. I thought it was a very good idea because it was easy then to compare the two. And also I already knew how I was going to paint it, so that was quite good. Yeah, it was great.
Tell me about the painting compared the same painting compared on paper to the canvas.
Okay, so when I did it on the watercolor paper, so I used a watercolor crayon on the watercolor paper to start with. Um, I did start doing that on the canvas, but I was worried that it wouldn't work, and so I used pencil instead because I thought it might be easier. But if I had another go, I would like to try using watercolor crayon because that kind of melts into the paint. So I think it would be quite nice to try that out another time.
Okay.
But obviously I only had one canvas to use, so I did it the way that I knew would work. I did a very light drawing on the canvas. The colour tends to soak into the canvas more than the paper. I was using Bockingford paper, which the colour stays on the surface a little bit more for that. So it was different from that point of view. Um, the wet in wet, when you put the colour on the canvas and just use a little bit of water, it does spread out nice and slowly.
Mhm.
It's slower, I'm finding, than using on the Bockingford.
Mhm.
I can lift off quite interestingly on the canvas, which I didn't know whether I'd be able to, but it does lift out very easily. So that was quite good. Trying to think of the differences. I can't explain it. It feels different when you're painting on it, and it's bound to because it's a different surface,
Yes.
but it still works well with watercolor.
Also, you didn't have any wrinkles or shrinkage.
No wrinkles whatsoever. No, I don't have to stretch the paper at all. I don't have to worry about the weight of it because it's already like a drum. In fact, even though I'm deaf, I can hear this sort of interesting resonating sound with the canvas, which is yeah, very interesting. I can feel it, in fact, I can feel it on the canvas. So that was quite interesting. I don't know what your secret is, but I've never had that with a canvas before.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me more about your art classes. What do you all do in them?
So I teach in a local community centre and the church hall. So I have lessons regularly every week. Um, And I also do all day workshops once a month in the same place. But that's for people who might want to have a go at something. I tend to put new materials in those workshops, so it's something a little bit different that they haven't used before.
Okay.
Like something like gold leaf or using modeling paste or something that's a bit different,
Okay.
depending on what I'm doing. But also it means that people who have never done any art before and haven't got the materials, they have the chance to try things out. So I might do a watercolor one, I might do a mixed media one, might do an acrylics one, I might mix them all up. Very often mix them up, in fact.
And what are your future plans for painting and your art?
Um, so I've just given up Friday classes so that I can do more of my own artwork.
Mhm.
But also the great outdoors that I love is to do more walking and climbing in mountains and things like that, which are things that I love painting.
What advice have you got for artists, up and coming artists?
They could do my video lessons if they're new. I'd help them. I have beginners classes for acrylics and watercolors, but then I do I've got many, many sets of 10 lessons for acrylics and for watercolors. Because I did them through COVID to keep my classes going, and now they're open for anybody. You can get them on my website. So if people don't live nearby, because I had all sorts of people in Australia, America, Canada during COVID doing lessons with me. But then when I got back to doing my normal lessons, I was so busy I didn't have time to do the videos as well. So, but they're still there for people who haven't done them. Whenever they like, as many times as they like, I do a critique for every lesson to help them personally. So it's a bit different to some ways of doing it. Painting holidays, that's another thing that I do. Painting holidays abroad, and I really love doing those. It's a whole week of art.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I'm going to Spain at the end of this month to the Finca, which is an amazing place. I love it. I've been going for years. And then I'm going to Tuscany for 2 weeks because I filled the first holiday overnight. So I asked for another week, and that filled in 2 more days. It was already full. So it's very exciting. Next year, I'm going to Clos Mirabel, which is in looking over the Pyrenees in southwest France, near Pau. That's a beautiful place I went to last year, and also going to the Finca again. So
Yeah, and no wonder you're so busy. You all over the place.
I am very busy. It's just me though. I will always fill a hole if it's free, it gets filled.
So people can get hold of you on your website,
Yes,
on YouTube,
yeah.
on your Facebook
Facebook.
page.
Yeah, Alisart on Facebook.
Thank you so much for testing the canvas and giving your feedback. I really appreciate it, taking a chance with my products.
Well, thank you because I really love your canvases.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It was nice chatting to you.
And you.
Bye.
Bye.